Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. That was a fun game, right? This is the after game review for game number 27 against the Ottawa Senators. The Stars pull out the win tonight in overtime, the first overtime win of the season. No matter who it's against, it doesn't matter. It's a big win. They win 4-3 tonight, and there were a lot of good things. There was a lot of bad things, but here's the thing: they didn't play a complete game. They didn't play their best, but they were still able to get the win. Hey, Chris James, how are y'all doing?
Doing great. Couldn't agree more. Had a very rough go of it, especially in the second period. But like we say, good teams find a way to beat bad teams. And that's what they did tonight. They didn't have their best stuff. They played way better against the Leafs the other night, but they still found a way to get the win. And a lot of monkeys off the back tonight is what it feels like to me. Miro Heiskanen gets goals. Lundqvist gets another goal, which he hasn't had in probably a month and a half. And Sagan finally scores, who was definitely due. And who knows? Maybe this is the start of the second offensive surgence of these players. It would be fantastic.
That would be wonderful.
James, what do you think?
Honestly, compared to Tuesday night's game, it was very frustrating to watch the majority of this game. Like, it was very, very annoying to watch us kind of just sit back, not get any chances the entirety of the second period, in my opinion.
I'm going to give a lot of credit to Ottawa, though, in that regard. Their forecheck was fantastic all night long, very heavy hitting, and there was no room in the neutral zone. They were clogging it up completely, not letting us get our smooth little passes so that we can have a guy fly in there. They did extremely good in the second period, and I'd say the beginning of the third period, until they started trying to protect that one-goal lead, and at that point, the Stars were going downhill.
That's exactly how I would divide this game up, Chris. Like the first 10 minutes, the Stars were really good in the first period. The second 10 minutes in the first period, they were not as good. It continued into the second period where the Stars still they didn't play bad, but it was bleh. And then in the third period, after Ottawa got the goal, they didn't have another shot for like 13 minutes or something like that. And because Ottawa backed off on their forecheck, I think that's why the Stars were able to win the game tonight. Call me crazy if you think I'm wrong, but I think that's what happened.
I agree. Yeah. The Stars are so good whenever the other team takes their foot off the gas. I mean, they sense that and they attack, and that's how we've come back so many times too.
Yep.
Couple things to mention though, Chris. Happy birthday, first off.
Yeah.
He has turned 22 years old. Big old number 22. How's it feel to be 22?
I can finally drink and drive. It's great.
And this is my first official podcast back, so I'm very excited to be back with you guys. I had a lot of fun getting to spend some time with family, especially, but it is good to be back and talk about Stars hockey with you guys. So let's just get straight into the first period notes of what I've got. The first thing I wrote this up at the top after the first period was over. So I wrote, it's a tale of 10 minutes versus 10 minutes. And I kind of already mentioned that. First 10 minutes, we were good. Second 10 minutes, we were bad. There were a lot of whistles to start off the game. There was a 2-on-1 for Ottawa, but there was a really good defensive play by Robo to tie up Pinto and didn't allow Pinto to get a shot off. And then Miro would score right off the face-off. It goes over the pad, under the glove, and it's a great shot by Miro Heiskanen there. And I thought that I think they kind of downplayed the shot a little bit, the broadcasting, because I thought it was fantastic. But what did y'all think of that first goal by Miro there?
Yeah, really good shot. I want to see more of that from the Stars. Those plays off the face-off, because we're one of the best face-off teams in the league. I think we are number one right now still. We need to take advantage of that more, and we really did tonight. We had 2 of them off the draw.
Yeah, and that's exactly how we were even in this game at all.
Yep, face-offs.
Face-offs was a very big part of this game here tonight. I don't know if y'all realized, but there was at one point when they mentioned how many face-offs were in the game. I think Josh Boger had said 69. Did anybody hear that little chuckle from Razor there for a split second? Did anybody else hear that?
Nice.
I swear I heard it. I'm going to have to tag him in Twitter and see if he actually responds to that, because I swear I heard him chuckle a little bit. But anyways, Stars go up 1-0 off of Miro's first goal in a while. And then about a minute, actually it's more like 2 minutes later, I guess, Miro gets another one from an extreme angle. And I wrote that Forsberg probably wants that one back. That should never, ever go in. But nonetheless, Stars are up 2-0.
That was a softie for sure.
Yeah. That's just kind of throwing the puck at the net at that point, though. I mean, sometimes when you throw it at the net, you get lucky like that. So.
There's a great save by Otter on Brady Tkachuk. I wrote at this point that the breakouts looked much better tonight, although that would change throughout the course of the game. Tkachuk tries a reversal on Hakanpää, and it doesn't work. I thought that was hilarious. Good for Hakanpää. Otter makes another really big save, and then Marchment was really good defensively tonight. There was at least 2 or 3 opportunities where I think Otter probably doesn't want to give up a rebound that big, and Marchment was there to make sure that the opposing whatever player it was, whoever it was, Stützle, Pinto, in this case it was Stützle, but he made sure that there was no rebound chance for those guys. So good for Marchment tonight.
He was throwing the body around a lot more tonight too, it felt like, kind of in response to how Ottawa was playing the game. So good for him to step up in that department as well.
Miro makes a really bad turnover, which is very uncharacteristic of Miro Heiskanen, and it's the 4th line for the Ottawa Senators. Derek Brassard scores, and it goes 5-hole. It's just a weird turnover. You never see that from Miro Heiskanen. Obviously, he was not on the same page with his forwards there, and he thought that the forward was going to be right there and take the puck, and they just weren't on the same page.
And you got to give credit to the forecheck there as well. I mean, the reason Miro turns the puck over is because he's trying to brace for the hit. So it forces him into a turnover. Good play by their 4th line. That's how you want your 4th line to play hockey. They did good.
Yeah. And it's also really hard for the Ottawa Senators to not score when you get a juicy turnover like that.
Yeah. He turned it over right in the slot.
Ottawa would make a giant save on Claude Giroux. It was a really good pad save, and it bounced off the boards. And at this point, I wrote, Ottawa is really feeling it. This is about 5 minutes remaining in the first period. And all of a sudden, after me saying that the breakouts looked really good, Dallas is not able to get out of their own zone.
Yeah, and that kind of started that theme going into the second period, how we couldn't get out of our own zone then too.
Before we would get to the second period, though, Thomas Chabot, and he's one of the most underrated defensemen in the NHL, in my opinion. He's so good. He ties it up after Miro turns the puck over at the O-zone blue line, and it just happened to go off a Glendening skate, and it was not Otter's fault at all. He had no chance on that. It was just a freak bounce. It bounced off of the skate and goes in.
Oof.
Yep, that's exactly what I said. And you could just look at Otter's body language. He's just like, really, dude? Like, come on. Like, but it is what it is. Pavelski would have a really good chance after a cross-zone pass. It was a good save by Forsberg, and that would end the first period. Each team gets 2 goals. Dallas gets 2 easy ones, according to Razor. And then the Sens really got going in the last 10 minutes of that period, and Dallas just kind of fed them with turnovers. What did y'all think overall in that first period?
I agree with that pretty much 100%. The Senators forecheck started up in the 10-minute mark, and that led to a lot of turnovers. The Stars weren't ready for it. Got to make better passes, better decisions. Take your time.
Yep. And I mean, honestly, that whole first period, you could say all the goals in it were kind of soft. All of them could have kind of been prevented. So regardless, it's 2-2 going out of it.
Going into the second period, I really want to talk about a couple of players in particular. We'll get to one later, but I want to talk about the 4th line tonight because the 4th line was absolutely excellent before they started line shuffling a little bit. Kiviranta had a really good chance there at the beginning, and again, he just continues to impress me. And I want to put this forward. I'll go ahead and talk about it anyways, because I had this thought in the first period because I noticed how well he was playing. Gurianov had a really good game tonight. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I think we need to start changing our expectations of this player. When Foxa was drafted, he was a first-round pick. But over the course of the years, he's kind of transformed himself into this really good 3rd or 4th line checking center. And he's really good at what he does. I think that's what we need to start looking at Gurianov as and lower those expectations. Don't expect the goals from him. And then we don't have to be all that upset with him all the time. And tonight specifically, sorry, Chris, I know I'm talking a lot. I noticed how he was going into the zone. He's actually really good for that 4th line with Foxa playing in between on the 2nd line. I think he's a really good addition to that 4th line, and I think he's been playing really well as of late. So I know I'm kind of tippy-toeing a little bit on some things here, but what do y'all think?
I think there's a big difference between Gurianov and Foxa in how they play. I mean, Gurianov, I would still say, is somewhat of a defensive liability the majority of the time that he's on the ice.
And that's fair. Yeah.
And the upside that he has that Foxa doesn't is his offensive potential. I mean, skating through the zone. I mean, we saw both tonight that I talked about wanting to see more. We saw him crash the net multiple times, and we saw that one-timer a few times as well. And that's really what we want to see from Gurianov. We want to see a depth scoring, a guy who is deep in our lineup that can consistently score. And he's not giving us that, which is the problem. I think he's on the doorstep for sure because he's playing better and better and better. But at some point last season, he had a lot of good times where it looked like he was playing better, but he just never finished. Yeah. That's what we need at this point. We need somebody who can put up points if he's going to play that kind of role.
And he totally has that potential in him. I mean, we see it with how much he does just skate through everyone and gets the odd man rush. And it's just right now, it's just not going in. It's kind of what's been happening to Sagan for the past couple of games. Except it's just like on an even more extreme level for Gurianov, it feels.
Yeah. And to me, it feels more like an Achushkin situation than it does a Foxa situation, which, as we all know, would not end great for the Stars.
Right. We didn't great for Achushkin. He wins the Stanley Cup. Yeah, right. Anyways, moving on. We'll talk more about that Wednesday if we want to, but Pavelski would have a really good shot slot chance. There was a rebound chance there. Dallas would go on the penalty kill twice, once for too many men from Johnston. Johnston was at fault there, took too long of a shift. And Pavelski would have a high sticking call as well. That was only his second minor penalty of the season. Should he get some more votes for Selke? Because they very briefly mentioned that on the broadcast. What do you think?
I think he's too slow. He doesn't back check enough.
That's probably true.
He gets a lot of votes for that sportsmanship award. What is it? The Lady
Bing?
Lady Bing, yeah. So that's kind of the one he's going for with the low penalties.
And throughout the first 10 minutes of the second period, I thought that Ottawa was the better team, to be honest with you. What did y'all think through the first 10 minutes?
Definitely agree. Ottawa played the game that they wanted to play in the second period, and the Stars played into it.
Pinto had a shot, really good save by Otter. Hintz would have a chance. Lundqvist was absolutely robbed by Forsberg. And Forsberg makes an amazing save there. And at this point, 8 minutes remaining in the period, I write, the shots are 23-13 Ottawa. And that's very unlike the Stars to be outshot in any game, no matter who it is, whether it's against a bad team or a good team. So that was a little concerning at that point. Geary had a really good two-way shift here. He gets a shot off in the offensive zone, turns around, he picks pockets Giroux, and he doesn't allow a 2-on-1 to develop. So again, Gurianov coming out and playing really well. He would have another good shift about 3.5 minutes remaining, and Lundqvist would go to the box with about a minute remaining in the third, and Dallas would go on their third penalty kill of the period, penalty kill of the game. What did y'all think about the second period overall?
Not good hockey for the Stars.
Yeah.
Ottawa did what they wanted. The Stars weren't able to get anything going, really.
Yeah, and it only hurt the Stars more that we took 3 penalties in that period as well.
For sure.
I mean, it's giving you no chance to get anything going.
This was a random thought that I had through the second period, but I wrote down that Miller and Lundqvist were getting involved in the O-zone. And I really liked seeing both of those players getting involved in the offensive zone. Is that something that y'all noticed as well, or not really?
I thought Lundqvist had a great game again tonight. I mean, for the second time in a row. Obviously, he gets the tying goal I will talk about later, but he was all over the ice on the rush. I really liked when him and Miro were playing on the same pair. I thought they played off each other really well. I'd like to see it more. I wish he would get more playing time, honestly.
And I think a lot of the Miller and Heiskanen tonight was they played with the first line a lot more than they did Tuesday night. I don't know if that's just me noticing it more or what, but I really think they just played more with the top line tonight. And when you have all your best offensive players on the ice, they're going to score some goals.
Yeah, Lundqvist ends the night with 16 minutes and 18 seconds on the evening in ice time. So that's not terrible. I mean, under bonuses system, it would have been a lot less. So I thought he played really well tonight, and I agree with you, Chris. He was one of the best players for the Stars tonight. Getting into the third period, though, right off the bat, minute and a half in, Ottawa takes their first lead of the game. Hamonic scores on a redirect from Alex DeBrincat, everybody's favorite young forward that the Stars always complain about. Well, Stars fans always complain about that we should have drafted instead of Riley Tufte. But anyways, it's 3-2. What do y'all think?
That was shocking.
Yeah, I mean, Foxa just loses his stick up at the point and never gets it back and decides to change. So it's a 5-on-4, and then they score because it's a 5-on-4.
Yeah, it was just weird in my opinion. Weird play.
Yeah.
I just thought it was another one of those instances where the Dallas Stars seemed to control the puck, but then they seemed to lose control of the puck just as easy, right?
Yeah.
And this is not just this goal thing or this game thing. This seems to be a season-long thing. It's one of the few things that they're not doing well.
Yeah, agreed.
Going on, Johnson would have a chance, and then at this point, DeBoer's just like taking the lines and just kind of tossing them together, trying to get them going. So we see Marchman out there with Ben and Johnston. So that was kind of interesting. That'd be interesting to see more of. The fans call tripping with 16 and a half minutes remaining, but the refs do not. Foxa has a semi-chance. Dallas would go on the power play. And then at this point, I just wrote that Ottawa is just still more aggressive than Dallas, especially through the second and the beginning part of the third. They're just more aggressive. Gary Onuf has a really good chance, almost like a breakaway, as he goes into the zone on the power play. It's a great chance by him. And Heiskanen has a chance. There's a really great shift by Dellandrea, Seguin, and Gary as that line kind of gets thrown together a little bit as well. And then Dallas will go on the power play again. Tkachuk would get a roughing penalty. I actually didn't see what happened there, but nonetheless, Dallas goes on the power play. Marchment has a rebound chance, and then they kill that off. But then 5 minutes remaining in the third period, Lundqvist gets a goal. It's a face-off win from the Dallas Stars, shot from the point, and somehow it finds its way through.
And it's a face-off win from Rope Hintz in relief as well. So really big win there from Rope Hintz when he wasn't the main guy taking draws tonight. So good win up for him.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of knuckle puck towards the net. So that in that sense, it was a little lucky. But I mean, you take shots off of face-offs like that, you're gonna get some goals like we saw tonight.
And with all the pressure the Stars had, it was coming.
Yes, and I neglected to mention that after that goal, very slowly and steadily, Ottawa started, playing quote unquote bonus hockey and backing up and just trying to protect the lead. And thankfully that did not work for them tonight. So the score at this point is 3-3. Last 5 minutes, there's not a ton that goes on. Otter makes a really big save on DeBrincat after Miro turns the puck over again. So Miro had a kind of weird game where he was really good offensively, but kind of rough defensively. And there's an offside that's called after a possible 2-on-3 for Dallas. It doesn't lead to anything. And shots are 29-27 at this point at the end of the third period. So you can kind of see, looking at the shots, that the Stars started to play better. And I think part of it was, yes, Dallas was playing better, but I think they got lucky that Ottawa took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it lucky. I'd say that was their game plan. They were trying to just hold on, and the Stars just take advantage of that every time. I mean, every team does that. They try and protect the lead a little bit more. The Stars are just good at taking advantage.
Going into overtime, we go into overtime. Stars are 0 for 5 when you go into games past 60 minutes so far this season. So I wrote this down. I just wrote, they need to find a way to win this game, regardless of how they played. They did not play their best, but they're tied here in overtime. They've lost 5 in a row in overtime or shootout. You got to win this one somehow. Somehow you need to win this game. So right off the bat, for the first minute and a half, Ottawa completely controlled the play, but there was really nothing that they had going for them for that full minute and a half. They just kept, taking the puck back, and you could tell that the crowd at the American Airlines Center was getting restless and they were bored and they wanted to see some entertainment. But Lindell almost finished it. It was a really good save by Forsberg there. He went 5-hole and Forsberg just got enough. Seguin would have a shot, and I thought, if only he could get it. That's literally what I wrote down. If only he could get it. So it's almost like I had my crystal ball, I was looking into it. But Pavelski would have a backhand shot, and then with 29 seconds remaining in the overtime period, Tyler Seguin gets the monkey off his back, throws it across over the glass, and not only does he get himself out of the slump he's in with the 9-game goalless streak, he also gets the Stars their first win in overtimes or shootout. And it was a absolutely big moment. It's a big game. Yes, it's not against a good team, but it doesn't matter. This is a very big game for the Dallas Stars and a very big win.
I think it's a gutsy win. I mean, you're playing a team that knows that they're worse than you, so they're trying their hardest. They are obviously checking super hard, very aggressive all night long. We didn't match it very well, but we got to the end because we started matching it a little bit, and we got our skill there and tied it up late. Great grit in the third period, and then just to finish it, I mean, you got it dead on the money, Ryan. We have to figure out a way to win in overtime, and we finally do. And Tyler Seguin doing it is probably the best option I could have thought of.
Yeah, and it's just it's a great play from Johnston on the boards too. He completely puck jacks the person clean, and then Sagan's all alone right in front.
Yeah, and that was my next point, is how well Johnston played on that particular play, because it allowed Seguin to be completely wide open all by himself in front of Forsberg, and Forsberg just didn't have a chance. I mean, if you don't have anybody helping you out, you're screwed. So Johnston had a really fantastic game, and Seguin was the benefactor of this. But here was my biggest takeaway from this game, you guys, as we talk about what happened in this game. Faceoffs were big tonight, yes. You know, the Stars have been over 10 on the power play in the past 2 games. That's something that needs to be fixed very quickly. But what I really liked about this game is they pulled out the win, and a lot of the wins they've had this season have been 1-goal games. That's something they highlighted very briefly in between a commercial break or something like that. This is one of those wins that you can look back on and realize, hey, we don't have to just win by 3 goals. Because the further that we go along in the season, these kind of games where it's like 5-1, 4-1, 6-2, 5-2, they're going to be less and less and less as we go on. They're going to be closer and closer when it comes to goal differential in this game. So I thought this was a really big win. This is a win that the Stars can look back on, and DeBoer can look back on and say, hey, there's lots of different ways this team can win. That's my biggest takeaway from tonight.
Agreed, 100%.
What else happened in tonight's game that y'all want to talk about that kind of either really impressed you or maybe an area of concern? Because there were other areas of concern we could talk about.
Johnston was really good. I thought that, 2 assists on tonight, which he hasn't had a ton of recently, and the faceoff dot was great. He made a few really good defensive plays. I love Johnston tonight.
You mentioned the power play, Ryan, in the past 2 games not being great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think that the power play has looked bad. They're not scoring on it, which is obviously a problem. But I mean, I think we got 3 shots on both the power plays tonight, and they were all good chances. In last game, we had 20 shots on 7. That's almost 3 for every power play again. It's, to me, in the past 2 games, it hasn't been that the power play has been bad. They're just not scoring.
Yeah, statistical anomaly.
One other thing I need to talk about, because I got to give him credit because I called him out for it and I ate a lot of crap for it. But Mr. Jake Ottinger was very, very, very much better tonight, in my opinion. He had lots of big saves in tonight's game that we haven't been seeing from him in the past couple of weeks. And yes, I think he still needs to work on his rebound control. And I mean, I'm not a super know-it-all hockey person, but it just seemed like a lot of the rebounds he was allowing were very egregious. They were really big. But I will give him credit for the fact that he did make that initial first big save, especially that save on Claude Giroux. I think that was a really big point in the game. And he actually had a lot of help from his forwards tonight. Mason Marchment, like I mentioned earlier, saving at least 2 or 3 chances. Lundqvist was really good with that as well. Miro had some chances where he was really good defensively, even though he kind of led to 2 of the goals for Ottawa. But I got to give Ottinger credit tonight because he was pretty good tonight. Not world beater, but much better tonight.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say he was better. He's not playing like he was at the beginning of the season, but he's better. Good enough for us to win.
Yeah. I mean, it was the big saves tonight that really set him apart from the past couple of games that he's had.
Agreed.
He does end with a .903 save percentage in tonight's game. So still not where you want him to be. I'm sure that's not at all where he wants to be either. He can play better than that. We've definitely seen it over that period of time. But you got to give him credit. You got to give him credit. He played pretty well tonight. So All right, who's your biggest winner and biggest loser in tonight's game as we wrap it up?
I'll go ahead and give biggest winner to Miro Heiskanen. He's having a fantastic season. Even if it's not on the score sheet, he's doing amazing in the assist department. He puts up 2 goals here tonight. This might be the start. If he gets to 15 goals on the season, I think we're pretty happy. And he's just been fantastic defensively. He ends tonight again with 28 and a half minutes time on ice. I mean,
it's crazy.
This guy is the defensive core. It is Miro Heiskanen. He's the guy. So the stuff he does just doesn't show up on his stat sheet as much as other guys. He is in control of the game. He is the core and the heartbeat of this team. And he does it night in and night out. Tonight he gets rewarded for it. I like it.
And I'll go with his D partner, Nils Lundqvist, tonight. Gets a goal and an assist on tonight. He was very, very good. This is what we're kind of looking for him to do, is to play with Miro and to be good offensively. That's what we need him to do. That's why we traded a first round pick for him.
And what I'm more excited about is his response to being healthy scratched. Is the past 2 games have been really good from him, and he could have just been all pissed off because he got scratched for 3 games in a row, because he probably is better than Hanley by a wide margin, and he could have just been pissed off about it. And he's like, no, I'm gonna come in and prove that I'm better, and he's absolutely done that. And he's next time Hanley wants to come in, someone else is coming out. It's not gonna be Lundqvist, that's for sure.
Yeah. And probably an understatement. Is definitely better than Hanley by a long shot, as much as I love Hanley.
Yeah.
Hanley has good games, but he also has those questionable games as well. So he's the perfect 7th defenseman. Literally, like, if you need a guy that can plug in there, he's great. Since you stole mine, James, I was going to give it to Nils Lundqvist as well. I will give it to Denis Gurianov because he looked much better tonight. I maybe we need to have this conversation more on Wednesday night, but I think we need to start changing our mindset of who Denis Gurianov is going to be. I think we need to look at him as a really good bottom 6 option. And I think if we do that, that will help us out a lot more.
No matter what, he needs points. The style of play that he plays, he should put up points.
You still need, I mean, they talked about it in the broadcast tonight. You still need skill on your 3rd and 4th lines. And Kiviranta has skill, and we've seen him do really well. I would almost look, I know it's crazy because he does not get paid like it. He gets paid $3 million. But the way Kiviranta and Gurianov have been playing the last couple of games, they've both been playing very similarly in that they're getting chances. They're just not getting goals.
And I think if Gurianov keeps playing the way that he is playing on that second power play unit, he's going to start getting goals. But right now they're not going in. And honestly, that's where everyone's problems come with him.
I think my biggest problem is that he's been here for so long, and we keep saying, oh, he's going to score eventually for so long. I'm just kind of like, until it happens, I'm not even going to give it any chance of hope.
You're over it, yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Who's your biggest loser tonight, guys? I'll go first since I got one. Yeah, y'all both were really quiet, but I'll give it to Anton Forsberg because I don't think any of especially the second and the third. I won't fault him on the 3rd goal, but the 2nd goal especially, I think he probably wants that one back. So I'll give it to Anton Forsberg just for that particular part because he probably wants that goal back.
My biggest loser is Pete DeBoer for deciding to put Ryan Suter back on the second power play unit. Why? Stop. Lundqvist did very good on it last time. Leave him there. Suter gone. No like.
I'm gonna go with Dellandrea. I mean, I talk about how he kind of gets bullied when we fight these more rough teams, and he definitely got bullied tonight.
He got thrown around.
He got thrown around a lot. He was invisible from what he normally does, which is normally spectacular, but he got bullied tonight.
I think the Stars need a lot of help with their defensive core, and I think we need another defenseman. And I know they keep talking about, oh, we're going after a top 6 forward, but I don't think we need that. I think we need another defenseman. We'll talk about that more on Wednesday night. But is there anything else we need to talk about in tonight's game, you guys?
Next game, December 10th against the Detroit Red Wings at 2 p.m. 1 p.m. Sorry.
All right. And Chris, happy birthday. Here's the happy birthday trumpets.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'll just do it right now. GG boys.
There we go.
GG
all right.
boys. Perfect.
Yep. Go and check out StarcasticRemarksShop.com for all the merch options. Also, go and check out StarcasticRemarks.com. There will be another blog post here coming up here soon. Thank you guys for all the prayers that y'all have been handing out for me, for my family. Baby Allison, she's perfect. She's adorable. And James and Chris haven't gotten to meet her yet, but hopefully sometime soon they'll get to do that. And again, I really appreciate it because I was a little nervous about some of the complications there could have been, but there was absolutely zero complications. So thank you again. But along with Chris and James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, evening, afternoon, whenever y'all are listening. We'll see you guys later.